Hi there, my name is Trinidad, and in this video we're going to attempt to do a couple things. Number one is demonstrate two basic recording techniques or miking techniques for recording upright bass. One is mono and the other is stereo. And while doing that, I'm also going to let you know what microphones you'll be hearing. So we'll try out some different microphones. Four microphones in particular and one pickup. The four microphones will be the Octava. It's a Russian company, but the ones that I have, I believe, are now made in China. The first one is a small diaphragm condenser microphone, the Octava 012. And that you might not be able to see, but it's on the back side of this black microphone. The second microphone is this one right here, the Sennheiser MD421. The third microphone is another Octava large diaphragm, this guy right here, condenser microphone. And the fourth microphone is this Neumann TLM103 large diaphragm condenser microphone. Those will be the four mono recordings, and the fifth, if you will be down here, this Realist pickup. Basically, it's a passive pickup. It's a copper plate that this, or film of copper that this foot is sitting on. It's between the foot and the body of the bass. I just had the bass set up by Dustin there at Williams Fine Violin in Nashville, here in Nashville. So he's put a new bridge and set the bass up and put the David Gage and the Realist pickup, and I'm very, very happy with it. So you'll get to hear that. The other thing to make note is all these microphones are completely flat. There's no processing on them whatsoever. I've matched the levels as close as possible, including the pickup and including the stereo mic here. So and they're going through they're all going through the same vintage or 6 channels of vintage API 312 preamps directly into Pro Tools. So so we'll go over, we'll do 2 techniques, mono and stereo, and then at the same time listen to 4 different microphones and a pickup. Now, the couple things I want to point out is I have this on a stand for consistency, just so that the bass isn't moving around and causing any kind of proximity effect and inconsistency in levels. So as a result, you may hear some rattling on the bass stand. I'm hoping not. And the other thing, and that's it. I already went over the preamps that we're using. So one of the things that you want to make sure before you get started, when you're using multiple microphones, is phasing. And phasing basically has to do with the amount of time that the sound, in this case the bass, hits the microphone. So if it's one microphone, it doesn't matter. But if you're using multiple microphones like I am in this case, then we want to make sure that the phasing is correct. And there's a couple things to check. One rule of thumb is a ratio, is a 3-to-1 ratio, which means that whatever the first distance is, and typically you would mic the upright bass on this F hole right here off of the high string. Whatever that distance is, on your secondary mic, you would want that to be 3 units of that. So let's say I have 12 inches here, distance from the F hole, which is what I have in this case. This mic should be 3 feet away. So if it's 1 foot away, it should be 3 feet away from the microphones. They should be 3 feet away from each other. Now, that's a starting point. In this case, they're about 2 feet away from each other, and I'm not having phasing issues. So, that's something to take in consideration. Ultimately, you want to use your ear. If the bass sounds tubby or boxy, basically if it doesn't sound natural, just trust your ear. If it doesn't sound the way you're used to hearing it, then something's wrong, and it might be phasing issues if you're using 2 microphones. What I started out with is this microphone here is also 12 inches away. So I started with that just so it's equal distance away from each other. So phasing is the main thing you want to be aware of when you're using multiple microphones. The other way to check the phasing is record just a small sample and then go to Pro Tools and zoom in, or whatever your DAW is that you're using, and zoom in on the waveform, and that sine wave on both microphones should be rising and dropping at the exact same time. If they're offset, if one's going up here and it's going down, or if it's going up, the one mic, the waveform starts up and the other one starts down, then they're canceling each other out, and that you'll definitely hear if that's an issue. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to play a little bit of just random, it's just some playing, and when I edit this, I'll let you know what microphone you're hearing. So right now, we'll start with just mono microphones, and at the very end, we'll go to the stereo sample. So the first mic you're going to be listening to right now is the Octava 012, the small diaphragm microphone. The next mic you're going to be listening to is the Sennheiser MD421 dynamic microphone. Now the third microphone now will be the Octava 319 large diaphragm microphone. And the last microphone in mono that you'll be listening to is the Neumann TLM 103 large diaphragm microphone, and that sounds like this. Now, the next thing you'll hear is the Realist pickup. I'll play that next, and then we'll do the stereo miking. Here's the Realist pickup. Okay, so that's the Realist pickup. So the last thing we're going to listen to now will be the two Neumann TLM 103 microphones, and I'm panning the microphones hard left and hard right. All these other microphones and the DI and the pickup up to this point have been straight up, and you've been hearing the microphones one at a time. Now what I'm going to do is pan the two Neumanns hard left and hard right. The microphone on the left will be the Neumann that's over the high string. The mic on the right will be the panning on the right will be the microphone that's over the low string. And that sounds like this. All right, so that's what that sounds like. And so the one thing I want to mention, every instrument, they're all imperfect, and they'll have certain resonances. So it might be like a certain frequency or a tubby frequency that bounces, pops out on certain notes or whatever. So since you can't really fix that on the instrument, that's just kind of natural sometimes. What you might want to listen to when you're auditioning these microphones or whatever microphones you're auditioning is, find where that might be, what notes it is, but then listen to the different instrument microphones on that passage or on that note and see which one handles it the best or the smoothest. And the reason is when you get to mixing this, or whoever mixes your bass part, the smoother that microphone handles it, the more musical the EQing will be. But if you picked out a mic that just doesn't handle that frequency, it just sounds really boxy and tubby, that means that when they try and take care of that note, they're going to really be carving with the EQ to just duck it, as much as they can. But the smoother it sounds naturally, then the more musical, at least in my opinion, it'll be in my experience, it'll be with handling those just, again, inherent frequencies. The other thing is the preamps that we're using. We're using all API preamps in this case. Those won't color. Well, they can color a lot also. So, if you have a couple at your disposal, then try them out and see how they work. Especially for a pickup. If you're recording a pickup, I typically don't record the pickup because you should be able to get the instrument sounding as natural as possible with the microphones. But when you are recording, if you're doing a demo with a pickup, try different preamps because you'd be surprised how much a pickup can react to a preamp, or a preamp, how it treats a pickup. So, but in this case, it's going through a Demeter, an old tube Demeter bass preamp. I think it's the 201, but I'm just taking the direct out, the DI side. It's not seeing the preamp side, and then it's going also into the API 312. I hope this video was helpful to you, and drop me a note on the YouTube channel when you see this, and let me know what you think. If there's something else you want to hear, I'd be happy to do that for you, and in another video. All right, thanks a lot. Enjoy.